Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. It has been a couple of months since I've been able to sit down and make another one for you, but I did do a short video earlier on in the week and I did promise that I would have one up by the end of May. So here we are, it is the 31st of May and I'm going to try and get this video up for you. So we are going to be making a little mini Midori notebook today. A few months ago I posted what seemed to be a very popular video on the mini notebooks that I made, and I will post a link to that video in the description below. But so I thought it would be fun to make one of these today. I did try messing around with a couple of other forms of making it, I guess. These two here didn't quite work out as well as I'd planned. You can make them that way if you want to, but I found that this one here turned out the best. So this is what we're going to do today. So our Midori Traveler's Notebook has all the same features as a regular sized one. We have our elastic closure, a little charm on the front, the holes on the sides that actually hold the notebook inside, our cover. We have a mini pamphlet stitch notebook on the inside, which we will create as we go. The elastic that holds the notebook inside, and then the elastic that binds it closed is a separate piece as well. So we will be making all of this today, and it shouldn't take too long. I think I whipped this up in, I don't know, maybe an hour and a half. I was doing it in front of the TV. The other ones that I made, I wasn't quite happy with the layout, so I figured this one was way cuter. So we shall get started. You are going to need the following items to make this particular notebook. You'll need your cover. I've used a piece of leather. This is about the size of so 5 centimeters by about 7.5 centimeters. So obviously 5 centimeters, 7.5. I think roughly this one is about 7.3, but I thought in this case we'll just make it a tiny bit bigger. I'd rather it be too big and then you can trim down the sides if you need to, rather than too small and find that you've got the insert hanging over the edges. So we'll make the insert and then we'll make this just a tiny bit bigger, so if you've got some excess then you can trim that down when you're done. So you're going to need a piece of leather, so 5 centimeters by about 7.5 centimeters. Some paper. This is just copy paper. This measures at around 4.8 centimeters by maybe 8 centimeters. Again, make it a little bit longer. We are going to trim the edges down to 6. So once this is all folded up, this will be so 3 centimeters from here to here, so 6 centimeters in total, and this will be 4.8. But I always just cut a little bit of excess, and I'll show you why I do that as we move through the video. You also need a cover for your little insert as well. This is also the same size, 4.8 by about 6 centimeters. Once we've bound everything together, then we'll trim it down and it will measure you 4.8 by 6 centimeters or 3 centimeters once it's cut down. So we'll need that. You're also going to need an awl so you can punch your holes in the signature, possibly a clip if you want to keep everything sort of bound together while you're going. Elastic. This elastic I think is 1.5 millimeters. You can go a little bit smaller if you want to, so maybe 1 mil. I think personally for this little one it might be a little bit too thick. 1 mil might have been a little bit better, but experiment, see how you go. So we've got our elastic, obviously a box cutter to cut your paper, a needle so we can bind our little notebook together, scissors. I've got a screw punch. The screw punch is 1.5 millimeters and the eyelets that I'm using as well are also 1.5 millimeters. So this inside diameter or inner diameter is 1.5 millimeters. That's the little circle in the middle is 1.5 millimeters. I have a charm and a jump ring so I can attach it. There we go. And an assortment of little seed beads. I think these are a size 6 to go on the side there. Okay, so we're going to need those little bits and pieces there. And I have some nylon thread. This is about 0.4 millimeter. This is also to make our little notebook on the inside cover. And I have an eyelet setter as well. Okay, this is for the 1.5 millimeter eyelets that we're going to be using. Obviously some pliers as well so we can put our little charm on the front of our book a little bit later. These are just the measurements that I use. You can make up your own size if you want to. You can go a little bit bigger, you can go smaller if you're daring enough. But these are the measurements that I've used. But play around with it, just have a bit of an experiment and see how you go. But I found these worked for me. Once again, maybe the elastic could probably have been a little bit thinner just for it to sit together a little more snugly. So this notebook has, I think, 18 pages. It might be a little bit too much. So I'm gonna just dial it back a little bit today and maybe use 12, just so it's not so thick. So I've got 12 pieces of paper here and we are going to just fold it in half. Get my bone folder and just squash it down a little bit. And do the same with the cover as well. My cover's not quite right here. It doesn't matter because this is all going to get trimmed down anyway. So as long as your measurement is 4.8, this is 4.8, you can cut off the excess as you go. Sometimes I use my excess for other projects as well. I try not to waste too much stuff. Ends up going in a drawer or a box somewhere and it's a bit of a disaster, but at least it doesn't go to waste. All right, so that's that little bit like so. I'm just going to pin that down and I'm going to go and find the ruler I forgot to mention that everybody should use as well. So I'm just going to take this one out and use it as a guide for the measurements because we're going to start sewing all of this together. So looks like I've gone in 5, maybe 7 mil, 7 or 8 mil on either side. I think when I was making this, I maybe just eyeballed it, but that's what we'll do here. First of all, we'll find the center. So half of about 4.8 is 2.4. Look at the middle. And we'll go in maybe 7.5 millimeters and another 7.5 on the other side. 5. Wow, my eyesight's terrible. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay. I'll pop all of this together. Give it another squish. Now, I tend to unfold, get my awl, and we're going to punch those holes in. This one looks a little bit lower, so there we go. Oh, that didn't work out too badly in the middle there. Just going to get my awl and make those holes a tiny bit bigger just so we can get our thread through. And I think because I was using a nylon thread, which is actually quite sturdy, I don't think I bothered with my needle. So if you guys are using maybe an embroidery cotton, something that's quite flimsy, you probably are going to need a needle just to get through your holes, but this stuff's quite sturdy. It doesn't fray at the ends. Sorry, that was completely out of shot. It doesn't really fray at the ends, so I should be able to feed those straight through the holes. So now I'm just going to sew that all together. We don't need a lot of thread, so maybe 1, 2, 3 lengths. That's way more than 3 lengths, but you get my meaning. And just trim that off. So to sew this little one together, we will go through the middle. See, I'm already going to have to make these holes a tiny bit bigger. Okay. Oh, this cord's going to make a liar out of me. There we go. Through the middle. Leave a bit of excess so you can just tie that off. We're going to go, so we've gone in through the middle, flip it over, go in through the top. Come back through the other side there. Now we're going to go right down to that bottom hole. Just being a little bit fiddly. Sorry everyone. There we are. Coming back through, and then we're going to go back through this middle hole again. So I'm going to pull back to the side a little bit and back in. There we go, through the center. I like to put one thread on either side of the middle and pull up. Don't pull out because then you risk tearing the holes in your signature. So just to make everything a little bit tighter on the outside, pull your cords up a little bit. And we'll just tie a little knot in the middle. There we go. And one more if you just want it to be a tiny bit more secure. All done. And then we just trim off our excess. So that's the stitching part done. We'll fold that together now. Give it another squash. So we have this measuring around 4.8. We're going to go to about 3 centimeters here. So we'll just trim off that excess. We're going to cut this off. I'm going to speed this up for you because I'm sure you guys don't want to sit here for the next minute or so watching me do this. And that's our insert all done. You can use your scraps if you want to for collage, or make even teeny tinier books. I'm always up for a challenge. I reckon I'll do that later. Anyway, that's our insert done for now. And I'm just going to, actually I'll use that spare bit of paper there and just clamp this together while I work on the cover. this is going to get folded to go around our book. So we're going to find the center of it so we can pop in these holes that we need here. So we've got about 7.5, tiny bit smaller actually. Half of 7.5 is 3.75 if my math serves me correctly. So I'm just going to mark the center here, about 3.75 mil. And then I'm going to turn it this way and I'm going to find the center so we can punch this hole, which I'm going to mark with a black pen, which I also forgot to tell you that you should probably use. All right, half of 5 centimeters is 2.5. So we're going to punch a hole there. Our eyelets are teeny tiny little things. So when I made mine, I roughly eyeballed where everything was going to go. We want to leave a little bit of space from the top so your eyelet isn't going to be hitting the very, very top and bottom of your cover. So you want to be a couple of millimeters down. So maybe I roughly went in about 5 mil for each one. Maybe a little bit less. So I reckon I'll put my first one there. And there, so I think I've gone in about 4 mil. The next one, we want a little bit further down. That looks like it's sitting almost at the 1 centimeter mark. Oops. There we go. It's teeny tiny. Nobody's going to call you out on it if it's a little bit wonky. All right, we're going to pop those aside. This is where I use my screw punch to get these holes in here. Might actually just move the camera up a little bit. Looks like it's a little bit off the center, so So now we're going to pop our eyelets into this. If you've got a snazzier eyelet setter than I do, by all means, go ahead and use that. I'm going to do mine off camera because there's hammering involved and the camera's just going to be all over the place. So once you're done, all your eyelets will be sitting in there nicely. I shouldn't really be doing these with my thumb. I have got the proper means to do this. There we go. Makes life a little bit easier. So I'll just set them all up, and then in a moment I'll go off and I'll hammer these in, and then I can come back and I'll show you what it all looks like at the end. That's essentially what it's going to look like once everything's all hammered in. I can already tell mine's off. A little bit crooked, but that's okay. For the sake of the video, I think we'll all cope. Okay, so I've hammered all of those in, and surprisingly I didn't mash them into oblivion. I'm not very good with an eyelet setter, and some things take a little bit more of a beating than others, but I reckon I did all right with this one. That's going to look quite cute. All right, moving on to our next part. We're going to be popping our elastic through this first section to hold our notebook in there. Because I think this is 1.5 mil and these are 1.5 mil, it does fit quite nicely, but it's a little bit of a tight squeeze getting the elastic through. So sometimes I might just trim at an angle. This is why I think using a slightly thinner elastic is probably going to be better, but I've kind of cut my elastic a little bit of a point so I can feed it through here. I think I'm going to have to keep trimming it to get it through. We'll pull it through. I want to leave a fair bit of excess on this side because we're going to be tying it up in the middle. We don't want to tie it too tight and we don't want to tie it too loose. So we are going to have a little bit of excess just until we can get ourselves organized here. At this point, I'm going to pop my bead on though, the little bead that's going to sit at the top. So, I don't know, I think I like this little red one. It's quite cute. I'm going to poke that through there. And that will sit snugly in there. Now we're going to feed the elastic back through to the other side. Fingernails, bad eyesight, and frayed elastic probably don't make the best combination. But we will get there. Don't go through here, go through this next one at the bottom here. We need another trim. So don't pull that too tight either. And then back in through that bottom eyelet. Like so. So this is what the outside will look like. This is what the inside will look like. Oops. There we go. And this bit, of course, is going to sit in the middle there. So this bit can get a little bit fiddly now, because we're going to wrap our elastic into fit like so. And I think I'm just going to move the camera out again a tiny little bit, because I feel like all you can see are my hands and not really what's going on underneath. That's a little bit better. So we're going to line up the center and bring this in. Not too tight, so we're not bending everything and everything's sort of squished and out of proportion. We're just going to tie a knot in the center. Like so. Go. I didn't tie it too tight because I wasn't too sure if this was going to be too tight or too loose, so I'm pretty happy with that. I'm gonna make that a little bit tighter, and then cutting off the excess. Now it's up to you. You can get the tiniest little bit of glue if you want to just dab it in the center of your knot there, just to secure it. But that is going to be our Midori held together. As you can see, I might have been a little bit off center, so I've got a bit of excess hanging over the edge here, but I'll trim that off after the video, once everything's put together. But I'm pretty happy with how this is turning out so far. Now we're going to pop in the binding elastic in the center here. So for this bit, we're going to take our book out so we can get our elastic through here. Now I had a nifty little trick to do this, which I will show you. I'm going to get a little excess piece of the nylon that I used to bind my book, and I'm gonna take these two bits here and feed them through the center. Now I'm going to get my elastic because we need this folded bit to go through that little hole. And you guys saw how tricky it was for me to get one end of it through the hole. So this I found was a pretty nifty little idea. I've got my folded over nylon, my elastic about halfway, and I'm gonna just give that a quick pull. Hopefully I don't destroy the eyelet. There we go. So don't be rough, because you don't want to just rip out that eyelet from the middle, but get a firm grip and then just pull it through. So we need to establish now how tight we want this to be around our actual notebook. So I'm just going to pull mine through a little bit more, but I'm not going to tie it off just yet. What I will do now is I'm going to put my notebook back inside. Close everything up and determine how tight this will be. So that actually isn't too bad. It's not too tight and it's not too loose. So I think I'm going to tie my knot on the inside. There we go. I think that's good. I think that's about how tight I want that. So I'm going to carefully just pull that back now and tie a knot. Okay, so what I've actually done as well is I have tied it through here, like I did with my signature on the inside. I have taken one piece of my elastic, not this bit, from the second to the third hole, and I'm going to tie this off. So I reckon that's pretty tight. I think I'm going to just trim that, and just to make it a little bit secure, I might pop a little bit of glue on there so it doesn't come undone. Okay. Pop my insert back in. And that's everything put together. Our book is essentially finished. If you want to leave it at that point, that's up to you. But we are going to pop a little charm on ours, like we have with this one here. Made with love. Isn't that sweet? Okay. Our charm and our jump ring. Pliers. I don't know why this jump ring's closed. I may have used it before. Might need to go a little bit more. and we're done. How cute is that? I can see myself making lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of these. A little bit baggy, so I might just take a millimeter or so off the edge of the notebook just to make it a little bit more snug. But I swear you guys are gonna love making these. Love, love, love it. I can guarantee you're gonna be just as addicted to making these as I am. And then they can go with your mini notebooks as well. And you'll have a mini library in no time. As I said, I'll pop the link to the video for the mini notebooks in the description below. But here is your mini Midori Traveler's Notebook all ready to go. Sometime in the future, I'm going to post a video on how to make a regular sized Midori Traveler's Notebook, but you can use the instructions that I've given you today to make any size Midori Traveler's Notebook that you like. Once again, I said you could go even smaller if you're daring enough, or you can go a little bit bigger. I think a nice little pocket size one would be quite cute, so we'll give that a go. But thank you so much for watching today, guys. I really, really hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to my channel, and I look forward to creating another video for you very, very soon. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and thank you so much again. Thanks, guys. Bye.